How much are you guys doing in production now?
Last month we did about 1.5 million. This month we're working on a few cases that'll probably sit us at about 5 million.
We have John Boot on the podcast. What's cool about him is he's doing some really cool things in the space, growing a team, growing an agency. He's produced at a high level. Like your average case size for the annuity.
It's 850.
850,000?
Yes.
Dude, that is huge. He talks about that, right? Like he talks about scale the unscalable, at the same time, like there is a level of like, dude, you need to make money. And that's why we're doing this. So if you're not making money, it doesn't matter if you're doing $1 million a month. Nothing matters at that point. Like you have to be making money. And if you're not making money, the opportunity goes away. I feel like every Facebook group that I'm in, like you're in there. And so I like those types of people that are just everywhere. There's a few other people that may, like whenever I think about that concept, I think about you. But dude, so how much are you guys doing in production now? Monthly?
If you're talking just the life side, we only do about 200 on just life. But
Yeah.
we have a very select few team. We actually just cut like probably 60% of the team out just because like I don't like the negativity, whining, bitching, kind of complaining thing. So we actually took a huge cut on the team and we're just restructuring at this point. So I mean, we're doing 150, 200 at this point. We probably got, a good couple solid producers and just restarting really is kind of the idea of it.
Yeah, what's the what prompted that? Because like to be honest, like that's pretty much where we've been at. It's like we scaled really hard, especially in our LOA program. We're doing really well, 200,000 a month ish per month, and then also we have like our broker side doing production. But then we had cut back a lot, and so we're in the same phase, right, of rebuilding. But what kind of like was the thing that you're like, yo, we need to go back to the roots, build the foundation again, and then scale?
Yeah, it's more. I know it's a problem when I start dreading showing up for work. Because I love what we
Mm,
do, dude. I love helping clients. I love helping agents, and I love scaling and growing systems. And when I start dreading showing up for more, because we do morning role play Monday through Friday, right? And when I start dreading that
yeah,
and rather sleeping in than going to the gym, like I know something's wrong. Because I'm a very aggressive go getter. Like I'm the up at 3:45 in the gym by 4 guy. And when I start to see that
yeah,
start to slack, I know it's because I'm less passionate about what I'm doing, and that's usually because of the people I'm around. Which is
mm,
a kind of a struggle that we find, right? Because like on the way
yeah,
up, it's hard, right? Because like I want to help everybody, but most people don't want to
yeah.
help themselves. So we get caught in that. Plus, once you start seeing the numbers grow, you're like plug in, plug in, plug in, plug in. And then you start to see the freaking mentality and the culture change. And that's when I start dreading showing up. And then I'm like, cool, let's cut it, restructure it, and go.
Yeah, no, that's dude, it's interesting because I felt that too. Like I felt like in this lull, and that's why it's crazy. Like I didn't post like for I don't know, like almost 40
Yep.
days on YouTube, and I usually like post
Yep.
like multiple
Yeah.
times a week, and it's just like feeling in this funk. And I think not a lot of people talk about it. Like when you're in this funk, how do you keep going? And I'm finally like starting to get out of that like weird funk, but like that's another reason why I wanted to get like on with other producers and agency builders is to like actually reinstill my belief in the business, talk to people, catch up. But I'm actually glad we have we're having this conversation because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, right? But the reality is like every single good organization, you have to prune the tree. Um, so was it like hey, like how'd you notice that? Or like what was kind of the point that you're like, okay, something's off here. I need to like go back to the basics.
Yeah, I mean, really, to be honest, like I said, it was just one morning I let it get to a point where one morning I was just like, I started trying to give myself an excuse not to show up for role play, and I was like, holy shit, this is a very bad sign. Because, like I said, I'm a very go getter. Like I'm always first one on, last one off. I love doing what we do, and when I start trying to like, how can I find a reason to take the day off? I was like, okay, something's wrong.
Mm,
And I kind of sat
yeah.
down, self reflected, and realized, oh, the reason being is because all my energy is going into people that, I mean, it's shitty to say, but like some people just don't deserve your energy, man. And so it was
Yeah.
really just when I started trying to find excuses on not working for the day, I was like, all right, this is a
Yeah.
problem. And I just kind of went up to everybody that, I knew that I knew that I could get people to quit. You know what I mean? Like I can have a hard talk with you and make you quit before I have to say, hey, you're terminated, whatever it looks like. So I just did that with most
Yeah.
of the people, and most of the people quit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, did you? I know that a few months ago, it was like I remember like early July, you really rolled out the free lead side. Do you guys still have that in place anymore or no?
Yeah, we're just super selective with who we put on it.
Yep.
And I always tell people that's like a gateway, right? It's not it's more for a transition than a full time. And I know
Yeah.
that like you can make a ton of money helping people with free leads, and it's just to me, it's like I don't want a bunch of employees, man. I want a bunch of entrepreneurs, and that's really what I started at finding, which started shifting that mindset. Where like I said, is it's like the people that want to. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with them. There's great programs out there. I'm not bashing them at all, right? Like, dude, there's a place for everything. Um,
For sure.
but for me, it was like I started attracting people that had an employee mindset, and I'm such a entrepreneurial minded, like burn the bridge, sink the ship, let's effing go mentality.
Yeah.
That being around those
Yeah.
type of people, it just I can't handle it. You know what I mean? So it was bad
Yep.
for me because I'm just the
Yep.
that kind of person where it's like let's effing run, dude. And
Yep.
so we still do it, but with a very clear understanding that hey, tops 8 weeks, and if you're not starting to buy your own leads by week 4, you're off the program anyways, right? And so like we give people full comps and everything. It's more of a program for us to help them get into it, into the business. But you got to be like we have stipulations and KPIs you have to hit to get there. Like it's not just a handout, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think having that strict KPI because what like it's hard to determine, especially like in a free lead program, trying to figure out like, okay, what are the actual metrics and KPIs that you need to like as an owner to be able to hit so that it makes sense. Because my thought process like coming in was like, hey, as long as I'm breaking even, I'm doing good,
Yeah.
right? And that was kind of by benchmark and metric. But the reality is like this is a business, and I thought about like the thing that really like I kept thinking about a lot was if Hormozy was in this business right now, he would not say wait a year and like just
Yeah.
break even. Like he would find a way to cash flow. And obviously like that's like it's cool because money models wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
So it's like that concept is something that I was like, there's has to be something wrong and my mindset's not accurate because yes, it is capital intensive. Yes, you got to put a lot of money into it, but there's a way that there's a way for
Yeah.
profit. And so like I must not be doing something right because I was like, hey, as long as I'm just breaking even, we're good. Or maybe even if I lose some money, we're good. But that's not the reality. So um, I don't know. It's interesting because it's like there's not a lot of clear people
Yeah.
talking about it, and especially in the industry, which I get it. Like, why give away your secrets for
Yeah.
free when you have your cash cow? But I think that was really hard for me to determine like what should this actually look like because I really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that and it's I mean at the end of the day I think the insurance is more about marketing than actual sales, right? Because everyone's highlighting the
Yeah,
yachts and the boats and the watches and the submit numbers and not the issue paid numbers, and so it's everyone gets caught up in that, and it's like for us it's I mean we had that same mentality for a while too, and it pissed me off the other day because we were talking about a different system we were working, and it got to the point where one of my guys was like, well, I mean, as long as you break even, you're good, right? And I was like, that's the problem that we've been holding, right? Is like, as long
yeah,
as we break even, we're good. But dude, I'm not in business to be neutral, right? Like I'm in business to make money.
yeah,
And so I've spent a lot of time inconveniencing myself so that other people can be profitable. And at this point, it's like, you know what? Like that's not how it should be, but also it's not how I want it to be. So for me, it was like I we made our KPIs so ridiculous that half the people that come to the free lead program and ask about it, we tell them the KPIs and they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, cool, see you later, dude. Like, dude, that's the
yeah,
problem is that it's like we're brainwashed to market that the agent has the power, but they don't. Like I'm the one with the money in the bank. You're not, right? So you're going to do what it takes to get there, and
Yeah.
not even trying to be a dick about it. It's just like I only want the people like so for me it was like how do I filter out the people that aren't willing to work their ass off, and we kick them off quick. You know what I mean? Like our KPIs are high, right? So we have a point
Yeah.
system that I put together based on dials, contacts, presentations, closes, and they have to hit X amount of points per day. And then that's just if you don't hit your points in a week. So you have a daily goal and then weekly goal. If you don't hit the week, then you're out, right? And there's no second chances. Um, but what I found is it weeded out all the people that want success to happen rather than make success happen, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the truth of the matter, right? Most people they want the easy route. And like, dude, at the end of the day, I have this conversation with my guys all
Hmm.
the time. They're like, man, 50 grand a month is hard. I'm like, no shit, dude. You're talking about the top like 2% of income earners in the world, right? Like in the country.
Yeah.
It's like, of course it's going to be harder than it is easy. So it's like I think the Instagram BS and all the social media just makes people perceive that it's going to
Hmm.
be easier than it is. And I'm tired of
Yeah.
working with that type of mindset. For me, it's like, dude, it's hard, but I want it. I want to run. You know, so that's kind of what
Yeah.
we've
I
switched to.
I think that's, dude, it's tough, dude. And even like as a builder, even just like a very entrepreneurial person, like I know that you are, is like, even you see, like I look at it and it's hard to, like, sometimes I have to kind of look at myself and be like, okay, there's people who are crushing it right
Yeah,
now. But like what I've done and my mistakes that I've made is like I've tanked the business because I want something what somebody else has that they've been working three to
yep,
five years on, that I want it like in the next 90 days or 6 months. And it's like you just see these people and it's like, all right, cool, I scaled to 1 million a month within 12 months. It's like, dang, okay, this is what I need to do. And then everything becomes unscalable, which Hormozy talks
yeah,
about that, right? Like he talks about scale the unscalable. At the same time, like there is a level of like, dude, you need to make money. And that's why we're doing
yeah,
this. So if you're not making money, it doesn't matter if you're doing 1 million a month. It real like nothing matters at
yeah.
that point. Like you have to be making money. And if you're not making money, the opportunity goes away. And that's one thing I had to realize too, is like if I can even survive, then it all the good that I'm trying to do doesn't
For
really
sure.
matter because the opportunity is not going to exist. But I like your clear like KPIs. One thing that I think is interesting and just the few talks that we've had is you're very
Yeah.
systems driven and like build like systems that are great. Like even the AI stuff that we talked about last time, I'm like, dude, you're like way ahead of the game. Where does that like come from for you?
Um, Probably. I mean, really, it's mostly stubbornness, but also I'm not in a like everyone calls me a robot, right? And like it is what it is, right? Like, I get it because I'm not a very
Yeah,
emotionally driven person. I don't know why. I'm
yeah,
just not. I'm very data driven. So, like, everybody that knows me, my girlfriend, my family, that I'm just like, I'm the guy growing up, like, my sisters always want to hug me, and I'm like, don't touch me. So, like, I'm just not that person.
yeah,
And so, it just like, data. It's just like I think so for me it was like I was never emotional about the business when I was running full time selling. It was like it was just it is what it is. I'll get 100 FUs. It doesn't affect me. But what I found was most people are emotional, and so how do you remove
yeah,
emotion? You show data, right? You can't be emotional about the data. You can just be this is what the data is. And so for me, it just started with that, and then I once again it goes back into the obnoxiously high expectations I have for myself and everything that we've
yeah,
plugged into. Like that's why we broke off and did our own thing is because everybody that we've partnered with, I'm like, oh, you guys suck at this. Like, let's make this better. And most people are okay with mediocrity, and I'm just not, right? So it's like CRM, dialer, call ins, like everything we've ended up bringing in house, sometimes too quickly. So we had to back off and then we bring it back later on. But yeah, for us, it's just obnoxiously high expectations. And it's like my mentality has always been if somebody can do something, I can probably do it better. And so that's pretty much what we've done essentially for everything. It's like, okay, what's the biggest needle mover? Okay, let's get that and make that
yeah,
the best we can, and then we'll go to the next one. And so that's kind of what we've done with leads, then the call-ins, and now with the annuity appointments. Um, but really, it gives people like the hardest part about the business is what the emotion, right? So if I can say, hey, if you come
hmm,
in, I'll take care of your leads. You just have to hit these KPIs, and statistically speaking, you're going to be successful. Um, then that takes away all the hard stuff, right? Like realistically, if you think about it, like getting told F off by a senior is not that bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so like if you put
True.
the logic and the data in front of everything, it's just like we're that's just really what we run off of is it's data and pushing each other. So it's like because if I tell you, hey, you can be successful, you just have to show up and dial, it leaves too much gray area. Whereas if I sit with you and you're a brand new agent and I say, hey, you have to hit these numbers and these KPIs, and this is the point system we have
Yeah.
set up, this is what you have to hit if you want to be a part of the team. You're not going to be mad at me when I come up to you and say, hey, you didn't hit part of the team. You're going to try to give me an excuse, but I already told you we don't do excuses, right? There's no second chances in this business, in my opinion, when it comes to what we're doing. So, when it comes to what we build, it's usually like I see something and there's something about tech companies that just love mediocrity. Like, you know what I mean? Like dialer systems,
Yeah.
their customer
Yeah.
support. It's just, and so for us, it's like, okay, what's the concept of what they're doing? And is it something that we can build and recreate at a higher level? Because I know I'll work 24/7, right? So for us, that's what we've done with pretty much everything. And what we have now is just like an accumulation of like me being in the business for 8 years. Like, oh, CRM suck. Cool. Let me
Yeah.
build
That's
my
wild.
own. Okay, this sucks. Okay, let me build my own. Okay, this doesn't work. Let me build my own. And now 8 years later, it's just here's the blueprint, plug in and play or don't. You know what I mean? Like I've always had the
Yeah.
mentality of if you come into my agency, the only reason you fail is because you wanted to, right? Like you have no excuses to fail here other than you just quit. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
still, I'm a huge proponent of like, we talk about the whole 92% fail mentality, but for me, it's like nobody really fails the business, right? They just quit.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Yeah. If you don't quit, you can't fail. What is So are you guys primarily working inbound still, or are you guys doing outbound too, and a mix of both?
we
What's that look like?
prioritize inbound for everything, right? Especially with all the updates coming on. I think that it's just the biggest way, especially for the
Yeah.
FEX guys. I mean, I'm going to get some flack for this because we're very front end FEX, but we're very progress into
Yeah.
something else as quickly as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why? Because I that's one thing like that I'm starting to realize too is like final expense isn't the end all be all. Final expense is the like a
Yep.
bridge to get to like a longer term thing. Because like even when I've come into the business, most people have quit, but most of them have been final expense or and then it's like mortgage
Yeah.
protection, and even those are like very high fall offs. But then like people who specifically are in IULs, advanced markets, annuities, etc. Those are the people staying in the business. So I'm like, dude, what are they doing or what do they have that like final expense doesn't? So I'm curious your thoughts on that.
So I started the business on advanced markets. I did not know that you could get life insurance without a paramed until like 2020, right? Like because I switched to
Really? So you were all like blood and urine?
yeah, I was in homes. I was doing fully
Dang.
underwritten policies, IULs, bigger term policies, stuff like that, annuities. Like I did not know my first carrier when I switched to telesales when COVID hit. They were like, yeah, and I was like, okay, what do you do to schedule the paramed? And the guy was like, what do you? We don't. These are they don't need parameds. I'm like,
That's wild.
so yeah, but yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest thing is this, right? It's like you have to remember, like, what's the good now. Once again, there's a double edged sword because I think IULs are sold improperly, and I think annuities are sold improperly. But if you go to the right
Mm-hmm.
people and you know the right stuff, then yeah, I mean your business lasts a lot longer. But I also think that the biggest thing about final expense is mostly one, you're talking to broke people, right? And it is what it is. Like two, most of
Yeah.
these people go day in and day out trying to convince themselves why they don't need this. So they're going to cancel. And then three, you're talking to a bunch of people that get blown the F up all day long by shitty agents that are willing to lie to these clients to sell them something else. You know what I mean? So when we got into like when we started, once COVID hit and everything happened, we switched to telesales for a little while. But really, it was just a
Yeah.
farming agency for us to bring people into the advanced markets, right? So for me, it was like, I know
Yeah.
not everybody can do advanced markets, nor do I think they should. I think it takes a special person to do so because you have to be willing to get nerdy with it for a level if you want to be top tier. I mean, you can sell them, and not know how they work, but really like you're genuinely screwing people over more times than not with these products. So for us, it was like, okay, we start people with final expense, super simplified issue, straight to the point. But that's really just to cash flow quick so you can invest in a higher product, do veterans, mortgage protection, something like that. But there are some people that stay in
Yeah.
final expense and they do really well. I just tell people, like, if you're going to stay in final expense, pair it with Medicare because you're going to need the residuals to make up for the fall off of your final expense business, right? Like you have to do that. Whereas
Yeah.
most,
Do you guys do
yeah,
Medicare?
not at a high level. We're not that
Really?
cool. Uh, but
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I mean, our biggest deals are like I said, annuities, things like that. That's where most of my business came from, as excluding that little stint in COVID. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I always tell people that's the way to go. Like we have the contracts for them. Like my girlfriend, she does Medicare, she does annuities, she does kind of a little bit of everything. She also does our contracting, so she's all over the place. But and then like if you're progressing, like veterans is a great, like if you're going to go into something, go into like veterans, go into some sort of gin life mortgage protection, asset protection, super simple. I think mortgage protection falls off because agents suck, right? So like, and I don't mean this in any rude way other than, well, okay, it can be rude, you suck, right? Like if you're not solving
Yeah.
a problem over pushing products will get an application, but solving problems will keep it on the books. So like our persistency when we were doing mortgage protection was like 93%, right? So it doesn't fall off if you
Solid.
genuinely like, because you have to understand the difference between like pushing a product and actually solving a problem when it comes to making a sale. And most people suck at solving problems. They're willing to get the quick signature and get an application through, and then they get a quick hit, but it charges back, right? Because
Hmm.
and that's a problem that most people have. Final expense, it's
True.
just genuinely like the persistency sucks. So I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, for sure. So, what is that's crazy. How are those annuity appointments? Like, are they booking just straight from an ad and then you're just
so it's like
calling and
add
like
to a
what's that look
webinar.
like?
So like this is what I used to do in person, right? We do like a seminar type thing. We'd have people
Seminar,
come
yeah.
in, eat lunch, right? Talk a little bit, and then they'd book and talk about retirement. So we just turned that into a webinar, right? So they see an ad, they get a free webinar, talks about, all the fun stuff, the nerdy stuff. And then if you have more questions and you want to see this, the way it'll apply to you, you book a time. And most of the people, they show up, I mean, we're working on a couple cases. I think last month we did, about 1.5 million. This month we're working on a few cases that'll probably set us at about 5 million. And then it's just
Dang.
growing from there. Yeah, I mean, so like we have a couple guys that we're working with. There's a lot of Roth conversions right now. Obviously, people are scared of taxes. Obviously, with the debt soaring, right? How are they going to, get that back is probably taxes. So a lot of people they're looking for Roth conversions, things like that. So like we have a guy we're working with that'll probably do about a million. Another lady, she's got about 2.5. We're working with, and this is on the liquid side, not like total assets. So they have more assets. We're just working
Yeah.
these in the cases. But yeah, so they're definitely but once again, it takes a different person, right? So you see the average final
Yeah.
expense agent sitting, showing up, pajamas, look like they haven't even brushed their teeth yet. Like, dude, you're not gonna take someone's $1 million from them and move it somewhere, right? You're just not gonna do it.
Yeah,
So it's like it
for
takes a
sure.
different type of person and a willingness because it's not a 1, 2 sit. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 sits. But the average commission on $1 million is 70, $80,000. So you do.
Yeah, that's huge. So what are the average case size for those annuity appointments or like closes?
Yeah, right now our average close is about 850,000.
On annuities?
Like an annuity. Are you talking about commission, or are you talking?
No, I'm talking about like
What are we putting in?
an annuity
What
what
are
was
we
that?
putting in the annuity?
Yeah, like your average case
Yeah, it's
size for the
850.
annuity.
Yeah,
850,000?
no dollars. I'm just kidding. Yeah, 850,000, man. That's the
Dude, that is
yeah.
huge.
But once again,
That's the biggest I've heard in like a while, like on an average case
yeah,
size.
because we're talking to people that have 2, 3, 4, $5 million in investable assets.
Jeez
We're only yeah.
Louise. Yeah, that's crazy. You cracked something in that. So how much are your like annuity appointments to like to get an appointment for them to like book? Obviously, I know like webinar things like that, registrations, things like that. But like, what are you seeing right now on that side?
They're pretty pricey right now, man, just because it's still ramping up to where it needs to be. I mean, our goal is to get them to about $200-300 an appointment. Right now they're sitting at like six, but we're
Yeah,
closing. I think right now across the board we're closing at like 25%. So
dude, that is
we're
insane.
very, very good at what we do. I mean, dude, you got to remember, right? So it's like most of our guys are, we're very big proponents of Jeremy Liner's NEPQ. Like even
Yeah,
three out of our team were on. They're doing an insurance webinar right now. I helped on Tuesday. Two of my top guys, Connor and Mo, are helping today. So like we're very, very big on
nice.
the inner circle stuff. So we've spent plenty of money on
Yeah,
trainings. I've been doing annuities and IULs for 8+ years. I'm very, very big about like doing them properly and talking. And so that's where you find the bigger deals, right? So it's like you can talk to people that have, but you got to remember too, like most people are finding cross sales. We're going after the big fish, right? Like that's what we're shooting for. Cause it's like
yeah,
you can do, cause the paperwork's the same whether you're rolling over 50 grand or a million. I'm going to
yeah,
roll over a million. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so it's like it's just finding
yeah.
the right
No, that's
people. And once again, we don't allow everybody to be on this program either. Like people have asked us, we're like, nah, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, and because I don't want you to
yeah,
spend your money and not do well, right? Like that's the biggest thing for me. It's the same thing with people that want to work with us. Half the time, I'm like, I don't think you're going to be a good fit because I don't want to go through the contracting process, bring you over, you show up. I'm hard on you. You throw a fit and want to go elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like I'm very
of
blunt
course.
about how to win, and I'm a very big zero
Yeah,
excuse guy. So same thing on the annuity side is it's like if I think you lack any sort of morals or ethics, you're not going to be a part of it. Just because I don't like you're we cut people all the time for screwing clients over. Like I don't care how much money you make, you're not going to be a part of this. So on the life
for
and
sure.
the
No,
annuity side.
that's good though because like the annuity space is like definitely growing from what I'm seeing, and I think it's just like a better quality of life. Like I've interviewed a lot of like advanced market people, and it's just like it's so different than like a final expense guy. A final expense guy is like, dude, I'm not on the phone by 8 a.m. I'm losing out on so much money because two chargebacks
Yeah, it's
hit and I need
paycheck to
to like make
paycheck,
up
man.
and I need to sell through. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like annuity guys and IUL and like infinite banking guys, like I talk to them and they're just like so much more chill. I'm like, this is crazy. And that's like kind of why I've like really been curious about just that side. And I've sold high ticket stuff. And I think like even the unit economic stuff like just makes a lot of sense. Like I'd rather spend $2,000 to acquire a client that's going to pay me 10 grand than pay 200 to get $1,000 client because like the persistency is really not like gonna be $1,000 at the end of the day,
Yeah, and
right?
I mean on the annuity side, like we're even at the cost we're at now, we're looking at about a 12x on an ROI, spend wise,
Yeah, that's
and
solid.
then it'll
Yeah,
go up to about a 20. I think once we get them really honed in and worked out, it'll be about 20. But even like for the final expense guys, like we have guys that stay in that realm, and it's like I just transition them into call-ins over outbound. Like most people are broke when they start; they got to do outbound. I'm not going to pay for your call-ins genuinely, but I will get you some leads up front. Right?
yeah,
It's a lot cheaper.
yeah,
And if you're crushing, like like we bonus out call-ins all the time. Like we do, so like we do an active Zoom room, and so regardless what program you're on, most unmuted presentations every week gets 10 call-ins. Anybody that gets like takes 50 plus call-ins a week, I bonus them 10% call-ins. So if you take 50 call-ins, I'll give you an extra 5. If you take 60, I'll give you an extra 6. So I'm always trying to find ways to get people more because I know that like at the end of the day, activity is key. People want to bash it, and marketers always promote these leads you don't dial as much and this you don't do as much, but at the end of the day, it's like, dude, activity is key. Like, yeah, it's a numbers game. I want my
yeah,
numbers to be as good as possible, but it's still a numbers game, right? So like we're always trying to find ways to bonus
definitely.
out activity. And so that's what
Yeah,
we always promote on. I never bonus out on sales. I bonus out on what you put into the business. Cause I don't like, for me, I would rather you not be good and work your ass off than be really good and just be a lazy bum. You know what I mean? So like we
for
promote
sure.
activity in
What
our,
All right, so that's your average case for that. Do you guys sell IULs at all,
Not
or
not
not really?
much. I mean, I
More
used to a
annuities.
lot. The issue is, and once again, I'll catch flack for this probably, is like if the problem with IULs is if you're doing them properly, you get paid shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like genuine. It's better than FEX for sure. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? Like if you're doing IULs properly and genuinely serving the client and genuinely taking care of them, like the sales are crap, right? Like genuinely they are.
Yeah.
If someone's spending 20 grand a year in premium, you're probably getting paid off of, you know, four, tops.
Hmm.
And so it's like, I mean, some people are like, dude, that's 4 grand a sale, whatever it is. But for me, it's like, same thing. It's like, the problem with IULs is they're so hyped up. They're so, like, anything that gets marketed at a very, very high level and people lie about it, there's also going to be bad marketing about it where they bash them and things like that. And so for me, it's like, the idea is like, you got people telling you're going to get 10%, 12%, 15% returns, and then it's just a wild world. I used to sell a lot of them. I mean, I'm not opposed to them. I will sell them if needed. It's just it's not what we really push at a high level at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once again, I think that for me, it's like annuities make a good amount of money. That's really, and that's what I'm more passionate about, anyways. Um, and then, like for me, over IULs, I'd probably sell veterans just genuinely, because they
Why? Just because you're getting higher? Like, is there a higher persistency that you've seen over general life,
on veterans,
or no?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, you got to remember. So, like, I always think to the level of what the client is, right? And that's why people bash final expense. But I'm like, dude, look at who the client is, right? They're perpetual procrastinators. They procrastinated their whole life. That's literally why they need final expense. Then you flip it on military, right? Veterans, what are they? Usually they're disciplined. Usually they're caring, right? They care about the country. They care about their family. They're providers, protectors. So I'm always looking at who's the clientele that I'm selling. Who do I relate more to, right? And so for me, that's the mentality that I can deal with. And then once again, it's like, dude, our average vet deal is like 3,500 AP. So, it's like, but same thing. It's learning how to solve problems and not just push products.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Do you? I don't know, and I'm curious your take on this because I see a lot of people do
Yep.
NEPQ, right? And try to sell final expense with NEPQ in that framework. And I'm like, for me, it's like you can ask like I don't know. It's different when you're talking to like a
Correct.
more like an IUL. It makes a lot of sense. You're talking to a younger person that actually makes sense. But like when I tried to do it, it was interesting because I'm like I don't think they understand what I'm even
Correct.
asking, and it's not landing.
100%.
So like, and I know you're big in NEPQ, so I'm curious your thoughts because I have my
Yeah.
own on
So
this.
when we're talking final expense, we basically mush it together. So like if you look at our script is very NEPQ influenced, but it's not step by step by step the same way our annuities are. Um, but yeah, no, 100%. You can't, because here's the deal with final expense, dude. Like and sorry if you see this, Jeremy, but like why would he be watching this, right? But
Dude, that'd be
we talk about,
crazy.
well,
Jeremy, we gotta have you on if you're
I talk to
listening.
him. I talk to him all the time. Like we were just talking about this the other day, right? Because it's for me, it's like I agree with any PQ at a very, very high level, depending on the client. And of course, he's doing his thing where he's like, this works for everything. But with final expense, man, it's a different realm, right? It's almost like people saying I have high intent final expense leads. It's like, bro, there's no such thing, my guy. And people can talk all up and down they want, but at the end of the day, like final expense is final expense. Once again, who is the client that's you know what I mean? Like who is the
Yeah.
person you're attracting? There's no such thing as high intent procrastinators, right? That's an oxymoron. That's stupid, right? So it's like I had a guy that when we were doing the call-ins, he's like, we can take him down a funnel, educational video, this. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. All you're
No
making me
way.
do is spend more money for the same clients. I'm not doing that. Veterans, mortgage protection, IULs, annuities, I'm 100% behind it. But there's a long answer to a short question. But to answer your question, no, we use a very condensed version of NEPQ, and we almost combine a lot of the steps together in the process. So like my final expense process is very simple. It's obviously, introduction. Then we go into, I call it a soft why. Just real quick, what are you looking for, right? Why is that important to you? What do you have now? Fact finder. So we're going through health, things like that. Then we roll into finances, which is where really it's kind of problem awareness, right? And then we go
Yeah.
into what's called a deeper why. So, why is it important to you? Ask all those main questions. And then we'll go into consequence and pitch, right? So like that's how, but in my mentality, if you're not pitching numbers on final expense within 18 to 22 minutes, like you're doing something wrong. Unless they have a laundry
Yeah,
list of
for sure.
medications. Obviously, we get some of those and you're like, God dang, bro. Big Pharma got you.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I mean you're right. But yeah, 18 to 20 minutes, that's kind of what I'm
yeah.
saying. I would say 15 for more like
Yeah.
experienced people and then 20 is like
Yeah.
pushing it. Like 25, 30, you're kind of getting like, okay, you could talk yourself out of a sale real quick
Well,
if
the
you're doing
problem
that,
too is like the average final expense client sucks at technology, right? And so the longer you take to get them to the app, the less likely they're going to be to complete it because they're going to get frustrated, right? Like
They're gonna get
for sure. They
tired.
don't want to be on the phone with you, bro.
I'm
Genuine.
I'm tired. I do
Yeah.
not want to do
So it's
it.
like
Call me
you
tomorrow.
have to
It's
know
like
your
don't.
clients, right? And you know damn well they ain't answering tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's why we say like 18 to 22 minutes is where you should be pitching. And then you should be in the
Yeah.
app by 25 because dude, if you're knocking on the door of 40 minutes in that app, very likely they're going to
Yep.
get pissed off, you know what I mean, and hang up and then
Yeah.
so especially if you got to pivot.
Dude, it's interesting that you said that because it's like that's something that like I've taught people, but like it's not something that like when we're talking about final expense, it's not something immediately that I think of. But yeah, it's like it's one of those things. I remember trying to ask a consequence question and like they were not
Yeah,
getting it
yeah,
at
yeah.
all. And it was like, what in the world? Like
Yeah.
this what? And so I that's where we condensed it a little bit that it's like people are like, hey, because I've never gone through
For
any
sure.
PQ, but I've been trained by
It's
people
the
who've
same
gone
stuff.
through it and sold it. And so, and I think it's so mainstream now. It's
Yeah.
like you could get way more nuance, but for final expense, like you don't need to be a rocket scientist to like
Yeah,
sell it.
it's a once again, it's a minimum wage spot in the insurance realm. Like people can bash it all you want. Like I love final expense. It's a great entry, right? But at the end of the day, it's like it is
Yeah.
a volume game no matter what you say because 15-20%'s falling off like that. You know what I mean? So it's like you
Yeah.
have to play volume. You can't have 2-3 hour conversations and sell 800 AP. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to happen. So it's like you have to be on and off the phone within an hour because if you're selling final expense, you need to sell at least 2 to 3 policies a day. Otherwise, you're not going to be profitable in this business. And people want to show
Yeah.
their submit numbers and stuff like that. But that's why we went to call-ins, right? Is because it's like you can. I mean, we have guys that submit 4 or 5 policies a day on call-ins. You know what I mean? They just go and go and go, and you have to if you're selling final expense. Like you can't do 5 policies a week and be profitable. Like
Are are those call-ins? Are those like somebody like
no,
outbound,
it's a
then it's
call in.
in to inbound, or is it? Oh, it's like a straight
Yeah,
up
yeah. They
like,
see
hey,
an ad,
call
a
from like
video, a
the ad or
YouTube
commercial or
video,
whatever.
Google ad, whatever it is, and it says call now for a quote, and they call. No, we don't do live
Are you
transfers.
generating those yourself, or are you buying
Yeah,
from
they're in
somebody?
house. We tried live transfers, man. The problem is they get forced over to us. No matter what anyone says, they're like, we
Yeah,
got the best live
yeah.
transfers, and it's like we have people that are like, oh yeah, they told me just stay on the phone for 3 minutes and then hang up, and I'm like, okay.
And then I get a
Yeah,
gift card.
yeah. They said you're going to give me this, that, and the other. So, I mean, every live transfer company we've ever used has always come down to like people are forced upon us. You know what I mean? Like you can still be, I'm not
Yeah.
bashing it. You can be profitable with live transfers, but for me, it's like I just want someone that's willing to call in. And if you can get them at a price that it costs you to get someone on the phone when you're outbound dialing, anyways, right? Like, why not? Why not skip the dialing BS? Because it's like I mean, if you look at the stats and nobody talks about the stats because lead gen companies want to say they have the best leads. But it's like realistically, if you're getting 30% of your final expense leads on the phone, you're crushing, right? Genuinely, like
Yeah, for
30%.
sure.
So if you're paying, there's places that are charging 15, $20 a lead, right? 30% and it's pretty much one.
Dude, that's cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap for what I've
Well,
seen
and
on
that's what I'm
Lead Gen.
saying. So do the math, right? If you're paying $15 a lead, you're doing great. You have a great deal, right? Someone's getting their back scratched. Um, And then you get, I mean, 30% is 1 in 3, so that's $45. So if you can get a call in for under $45, you already beat the game, right? And so right now we're sitting call ins at $40. Um,
That's
so it's
wild.
like you can have, and that's someone calling in at that point, right? So it's a different level. So for us, it's like, okay, on average, unless you're buying these aged leads where you're getting them for $3 and you can get 1 in 15 on the phone, which is possible, it's not probable. It's really just the math is the
Yeah,
math, right? So it's like people are like, oh, but that's $40 per call. I'm like, yeah, but it takes you 3 to 4 people to get on the phone. And usually that first person on the phone is telling you F off anyway. So really it's like, you know what I mean? Usually you're not getting a conversation for, 15% of them. And then you may be closing 5, 7, 10% of all leads.
definitely. I think it's definitely the game's definitely changing, and that's what I'm seeing as well. Like I think outbound will always have its place no
For
matter
sure.
what. And it's a really good skill to have.
Definitely.
Like waking up and like going through those no's
Yeah.
every day for months and
Yeah.
years on end. I think it is phenomenal. But I think at a certain point, it's like this is where I started going in my head. Like, okay, if I'm gonna sell, why would I sell final expense when I know I'm good
For
at
sure.
selling? What like I just don't understand why. So it's like it's caused me to think like go up
Yep.
market a little bit. What could I sell that's higher ticket? And it's interesting because like even Hormozy talked about it, like about final expense. He's like, dude, sell something 10x the
Correct.
price of it instead of just going through a lot of chargebacks. And I think it made me think like, I think there's a different game to be played here than just like this hype because a lot of it's just like people selling the dream, you
Well,
know?
really, dude, I mean, and it's the MLM style recruit, and because there is a place that is very well known for not releasing people and doing shady things, but like the mentality there is like, hey, run on advances until you build a big enough team to catch a bonus, right? And that's really the mentality. That's what I was told when I started there. Because whenever COVID hit, I went to a certain place that was doing well, and I was like, cool, I'll do this. But the idea was, hey, just run your business. You're gonna run negative, but just run it until you're catching bonus, and then you live off a bonus. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, just post your numbers. You know what I mean? You're basically breaking even until you get to the bonus level, right? Which is you building a team and things like that. So a lot of it is marketed out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Because the bonus is non-chargeback, like
correct.
you don't get a chargeback on that. So it's like if you could just that makes a lot of sense. I've never
I
thought
mean, but
about
then you're just lying to people, right? So it's like that's where your morals and ethics. You know what I mean? So it's like
that.
so like as a producer, it doesn't really make sense. That's why I say like in the final expense realm, like dude, and really it depends on where you want to go with the business, right? Are you someone that's cool with 100 grand a year? Like you can do that in final expense, like net out 100 grand a year, right? You're gonna work your ass off for sure. It's gonna be a but you can do it. But if you're looking for 250, 300, 400, and I'm talking about not numbers on the board, I'm talking about net money in your bank account, right? Yeah, you have to go
Yeah,
into a bigger and badder thing or cross sell Medicare. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
So for
interesting.
me, it's like,
And I think like
uh,
it. Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
just, for me, it's like I came from the advanced market sales. So like telesales was super, like the learning of telesales was weird, but like the process, it's like, oh, I can sell 4 or 5 of these in a day. And that's what I'm going to do. So, I mean, my first 40K
Yeah,
month was in telesales. If you, I don't like if you cross out annuity commissions, right? Cause that's not fair. Like, when it comes to saying like, oh, I made 85 grand in a month. Like, yeah, but it's different 85 from one annuity sale and 85 from like grinding your ass on the telephones. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's yeah for sure. And that's like I think there's a time and place for final
For sure.
expense. Like it's a good way
It's a gateway,
entryway
man.
to be able to make way more than you can make anywhere
Definitely.
else in the time, but I think there has to be like an exit strategy. Either you build the
Mhm.
team or you start selling. Like you got to go the crossroads, but you can't stay
Correct.
stuck because if you stay stuck, like you're probably not
Yeah,
going
if
to
you want
make
to be a
it.
sole producer,
Very rare.
100%. Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can, right? And I'm not bashing it. Once again, I love every aspect of our business when it comes to everything that we sell. And like I said, we sell final expense, but I always ask people like, "What do you want to do?" And then most of the time we get people started with final expense because it's less expensive to get in. Your commissions are quick, but it's like what you do with the money you make is more important than the money you make, right? Like that's why you see agencies
Yeah.
blow up to 3 million a month and then they're gone 2 months later. You know, it happens all the time because they don't know how to
Yeah.
progress, you know. But yeah, I think for you, like same thing. It's like getting into the more higher end sales because you can, I mean, like we have guys that will be making multiple seven figures on their own pin with the program we're putting together, like per year kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because if you factor in annuity commissions, average deals, things like that, I mean, we're closing at a very high level just because of the marketing we're doing and the way we're running it. But also, we know what we're doing, right, at a very high level. So I know the guys that I have two guys trialing it out with me, and both of them have made more in this program than, on telesales and stuff like that because of profitability. It's just a very
Yeah.
simple.
That's wild because you could get the same ROAS, but like
Yeah.
make like 100x the money. You know,
Correct, right? So it's like, I mean, you're spending more on the
that's what it
front
seems
end,
like.
but on the back end, you're netting significantly more, right? Like if I'm getting a
Yeah.
10x and I put 1,000 in and make 10 grand, cool, I made 9 grand in profit. But if I put 10 grand in and make 100 grand, cool, I'm at like 90 grand. Like I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
So that's just the business, right? But I think people get I think simple people like to solve simple problems and then they never progress and they get comfortable doing the final expense. But the problem is once again, you're always chasing that hamster wheel. And once again, I'm not bashing final expense. There's some people that come in, that's what they're good at, that's what they do, and they're passionate about it. And great, run it, make
Yeah.
your money. But for the people like younger crowd that want to get more aggressive and things like that, as long as you're moral and ethical about what you're doing, yeah, progress into bigger fields, man.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, dude, appreciate you coming on here and dropping some game, dropping some wisdom. Where can people reach out, find you, follow you,
Yeah, I mean,
etc.?
obviously most of the Facebook groups, John David Booty. You see me in there a lot. I just like to help people. So if I see people asking questions and stuff, I like to answer them because I always tell people Google was my upline. So anytime I can help somebody else, I am. Instagram, my is probably my most active. We post a lot of content on there, but it's Call of Booty, spelled as my last name. So Call of Booty 99, BOUTTE 99, and that's pretty much yeah. I mean, we're everywhere: YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. I mean, our guy posted. I don't know how to get on that stuff, but yeah,
Yep, I get you on
Facebook,
that.
Instagram, pretty
Well,
much.
dude, we gotta chat soon. Keep in touch. Love to see you
Yeah,
crushing it. We'll chat
appreciate it,
soon.
man.
All right, brother. Peace.